Does mean that Dream Team will be moving on, and we'll be able to see them facing off against the winner of our next series, which is going to be Tempo Storm versus Victoria's Secret, and that is also going to be a fairly awesome match.
Oh, it is. This is going to be a great matchup. This is going to be a lot of pressure onto the team of Evangeline, Colo, SSDS, and Oz, though, since they are going to be playing against pretty much one of the online favorite teams. You know, that team has a lot of well-known ladder players. You know, that historically we haven't seen these guys in too many tournaments lately, but of course Peekaboo, you know, such a great rogue, probably one of the best rogues in the game right now, I would have to say.
Yeah, and we've seen Jamili, Peekaboo, and Elite playing together in so many the GCD tournaments. They've won a lot of GCD TV tournaments. They've all, of course, just been very, very impressive in those matches. And adding in Starship as well, allowing them to swap in either that Resto Druid or that Survival or Beast Mastery Hunter, it's going to be very interesting to see where they actually go with this. They feel very, very confident, I would think, going into this match against Victoria's Secret. However, Victoria's Secret is also feeling fairly confident. In fact, actually, let's go ahead and take a look at the bracket really quick, just to catch everybody up on exactly where we're standing at this point. Luminosity went 2-0 against Older Men, and then Rise of Lasak won against Method 2-1, which is going to mean Luminosity versus Rise of Lasak will be matching against each other in our semifinals match. And then in that last game that we just watched, Dream Team was able to go 2-0 over Wad Baby Feral, and they moved on. And so that leads us to this next match of Tempo Storm versus Victoria's Secret.
Yeah, and I have a feeling that we'll probably see, I don't know if we're going to see some RMD out of Tempo Storm from the start, but like we said, they have such a deep roster, because it looks like Peekaboo also registered as Warrior too. So they can play Turbo, of course, having that Arms Warrior with the Enhanced Shaman, because Jamili does play Enhance quite a bit.
Yep.
So they'll have lots of different comps that they can play. So they're kind of I don't know, that this team is so well known for playing like their main classes. You know, we see Peekaboo on Rogue, we see Jamili on Mage, we see, of course, Starship on Resto Druid, and Elite on Holy Paladin. They're just masters at their class. But then when we add in this 4-player roster, we add in the comps that you can swap. No clue what these guys are going to play.
Yep. Looks like we do have the compositions in now. It's going to be Victoria's Secret playing Retribution Paladin, Beast Mastery Hunter, and Restoration Shaman. So that Ret Hunter Shaman composition, that's really a really solid composition, especially with a Retribution Paladin. Having the Hunter and the Shaman there really helps them out an awful lot. And then Tempo Storm will be playing, you called it, RMD. They're going to be playing Resto Druid, Frost Mage, and Subtlety Rogue.
I think this is going to be a rough time for Victoria's Secret, because just of how defensive that this RMD can play at the start. Because of course the big thing is going to be when the wings come out from Evangeline. So I don't know, maybe hold off on the initial burst. You know, maybe counterplay RMD's opener, and wait for that opportune time to land some CC onto Starship. I don't know. It's going to be really tough for them.
Yep. So the match is just about to get started here. We will be getting into it very, very shortly here. This first match between Victoria's Secret and Tempo Storm. Of course, the first map, as usual, is Nagrand Arena, so we'll be seeing some of that here. Just looking through their talents real quick, it kind of looks like, just from at least the cooldown display, everybody seems to be playing about what you'd expect. We do have Evangeline with the double Hand of Protection, double Hand of Sacrifice, which is so important for Retribution.
Yeah. Because they're able to peel off magic debuffs onto their from their teammates with that Hand of Sacrifice. You know, having 2 charges of that is so important, and they have to actually be really careful about when they use that sac, because yes, they can use it defensively to stop damage, get them out of CC, but it also gets their healer out of CC. So they have to make a really tough choice, and everything else looks just completely standard from what we would expect. Colo is actually playing Double Dispel, which we've seen a lot out of in this tournament.
Yep.
As Peekaboo right out of the start trying to find his target. Let's see what they do for the opener, as SSDS is hiding in the start, and there we go. They didn't expect him to be back there. It looks like Peekaboo is going to get that Step Kidney onto Colo, as lots of damage onto SSDS, as there we go. Now the first deter comes out. He had to trinket during that too, but Colo didn't use anything.
Yeah, Colo was stuck in a little bit of extra CC there. It was very scary for just a second. And there's the Spirit Link actually coming down to top SSDS back off again. Now they're trying to turn it back around onto Jamili. He does have that Iron Bark active at the moment. But with the BM Crows coming in, he's taking a whole lot of damage from that. And this giant dinosaur just trundling across the arena And then going right back again, because now it looks like they're trying to switch it over onto Peekaboo. They did catch him into a capacitor stun there very briefly, but that was a nice Frost Nova or a freeze from Jamili there, actually catching SSDS out a little bit here, and that's going to actually force the second Spirit Link already from Colo.
And here comes the wings out of Evangeline, as he is going to get immediately rooted by that Bark Skin. With the bomb on top of Evangeline, though, that was a really smart defensive play, as Starship is going to be able to get out of there. Evangeline is going to immediately swap it back onto Jamili, as Jamili is going to try to toss out that poly. We see the bop onto Colo, as SSDS is also taking a lot of damage, but wow, that huge heals from Starship using that Heart of the Wild to get those massive heals out. SSDS, that is the second deter from there. No links, no deter left. This isn't looking good for Victoria's Secret.
Yeah, there's no trinket available either for Coca-Cola for quite some time, so they are definitely in a lot of trouble. However, they were able to get an Ice Block out of Jamili there, as well as the Iron Bark has just gone active onto Starship. They may be able to make actually something happen on Jamili right now. He's taking a ton of damage, and he's going to have to use his second Ice Block. Starship, with that Iron Bark on himself, unfortunately was not able to use it on Jamili, and that's going to force out that second Ice Block from Jamili, and SSDS is going to be once again the target of choice here as they're turning it back around. They got the Deep Freeze onto Colo, and they do have a Blessing of Protection for SSDS, which is going to make sure that Peekaboo can't do too much damage to him, and that's the awesomeness that you were talking about earlier of having those extra Blessing of Protections available from the Retribution Paladin, really keeping him alive through this. He's going to go ahead and just hide behind this pillar for a little while and make sure that he's going to be okay.
Yep, they are going to run for a bit, both Jamili and Peekaboo. Peekaboo getting that re-stealth off, or trying to. Not able to just quite yet, as it looks like Jamili is going to poke out a little bit. There we go, Peekaboo with the step dance, as he is going to immediately force the bubble out from Evangeline. That was a great job right there by Peekaboo, forcing those cooldowns, as we do see a cheap shot onto Evangeline. Looks like Jamili, though, taking a bunch of damage, because we do have a Wyvern Sting onto Starship right now. Oh, this isn't good for Jamili at the moment. The Crow's just ticking away.
Yeah, there's no way.
And he ends up going down.
Yeah, that was an amazing sort of counter push there from Victoria's Secret. They were up against the ropes there. I believe the trinket had just become available for Colo, but that was really all they had available, and there was lots of CC available from Tempo Storm that they could have, like, you trinket one and then right back into another one. So there really wasn't much left for Victoria's Secret, and they said, all right, well, I guess we'll just kill them then.
Yeah, I really didn't see, it was odd, because that was immediately when Peekaboo was gonna start to spread out that CC. We saw the bubble from Evangeline, and then that Wyvern Sting onto Starship just sealed the deal. That was a great play.
Yep. So very well done from Victoria's Secret, able to take that first map and go up 1-0 versus Tempo Storm. We will be finding out very shortly here what map Tempo Storm is going to pick. Where do you think they might go with this? In fact, actually, Tempo Storm, they have so many different compositions available.
Yeah.
They could really kind of do anything here. The map choice, I think, is going to really be our first real clue if they're going to make any sort of comp switches. But really, any map with the comps that they have available to them, any map makes sense.
Right. I think what they're going to do is just pick a map. Doesn't matter which one. Tolvaron, that's a nice...
Yep.
That's a good map. Good standard map, because now they get to react to what Victoria's Secret chooses. Yeah. They know that they have that Warlock available so that they can counter off of it. But I don't know. I think Victoria's Secret did such a great job that they're going to stick to their guns.
Yeah, definitely. I think I agree. Tolvaron is a great map choice here, especially versus a Retribution Paladin, just because as Team Tempo Storm, if you get that Ret Paladin caught in some CC, you can just get so far away from them, then of course they have to walk all the way back over to you to be able to keep up the damage. Evangeline does usually run Empowered Seals, as I believe most Retribution Paladins are doing at the moment, so it does make it a little bit easier for him to get back, but not super easy. So I really like this map choice. Victoria's Secret is going to stick with the same composition. It's going to be Retribution Paladin, Beast Mastery Hunter, and Resto Shaman. And that's like Victoria's Secret. They don't actually have a ton of depth in the different comps that they can play here. So considering how well they actually did in that last map, and they were able to turn it around and get that kill at a crucial moment like that, I actually think that's great to stick with the same composition. Just say, okay, you know what, we're up a game. We'll play this comp again. If we can do the same thing again, we'll win and we'll move on. If not, well, we still got our map choice and our counter comp that we can play at the end of it here. So we'll find out what comp Tempo Storm is going to play now. Do you think we'll see any sort of comp swaps out of them, considering that they know that it's going to be Ret Hunter Shaman again? And it's
I don't know. I thought that I actually, about halfway into that map, plus the start, obviously, I thought Tempo Storm just had momentum non-stop, and it was just that moment at the end where they kind of kind of fell off. And it looks like Tempo Storm is going to take a little bit of delay time so that they can talk this over. Same setup as with Victoria's Secret, which means that Tempo Storm really has to make a tough decision at this point. Being down 1-0, they know that the map is Tolvaron, so there isn't... I don't think there's any one particular comp that is just going to exploit the size of this map or the size of the pillars or anything like that.
Yeah. Looks like it is going to be same composition
things?
again.
Yep.
Resto Druid, Frost Mage, and Subtlety Rogue. That comp makes perfect sense on this map, I think, like especially against this team. Like having the Subtlety Rogue isn't an ideal map for a Rogue here, I don't think, but they are still pretty mobile, and definitely I would say a little bit more mobile than the Retribution Paladin is. So we are going to get into this match here very, very shortly. The game is spinning up, and we will be in this in just a second and be able to see Game 2 in this series of Tempo Storm versus Victoria's Secret. We'll see if Victoria's Secret can take the win and move themselves off to the semifinals, or if Tempo Storm is going to stage themselves a little bit of a comeback and see what they can do here.
We'll have to see. Big thing is it's going to be how Peekaboo really sets up those burst potentials for Jamili, kind of, keeping the targets stunned in place. They almost killed SSDS a whole bunch of times because he was out of deters. They forced double link right away. I mean, they had a lot of opportunities to make a kill happen, and they just couldn't connect.
Yep. So here we are once again in Tolvaron Arena. Doesn't look like anybody's really changed anything up in terms of
Starship's
spec.
playing Soul of the Forest, which is interesting. We've seen actually all three of these talents used in the tournament so far. The Treants, of course, doing a great job of that passive healing if you need to before you can shift into Bear. So this will be interesting. Colo playing Double Dispel again, which is great against the Mage. So we'll have to see if Evangeline and SSDS can secure this victory, as looks like SSDS is going to sit out in the middle again, or out in the starting area again, as it looks like Colo immediately dropping that condensing totem. Ooh, as a sap onto Evangeline, looks like they're going to go on to him because they can't find SSDS quite yet. There we go. Now he's going to come out strong. Evangeline down to half, having to Hand of Sacrifice his healer out so he could get the link down. As wow, that was they were able to get the link out with that, which is good, but SSDS wasn't there. Jamili having to block right there just because of that offensive damage from the Wrath and Crows.
Yeah, and that's a ton of cooldowns that have now come out from Starship as well. He's had to use his Heart of the Wild, his Nature Swiftness. Oh, and Jamili might die inside of his debuff here. No, he's going to be okay. Does catch a couple of heals. That was scary. But yeah, that's a lot of cooldowns now out from Starship. He's used basically everything. So if they can turn something around here very soon, he's going to be in a lot of trouble. However, there's a lot of CC going on to Colo, and SSDS having to use that deterrence to be able to live through that. He does still have another deterrence available, so Victoria's Secret actually looking a lot stronger in the early game than they were in the last one.
Ooh, now Evangeline is going to chase Jamili all the way to the backfield. I don't know if that was a great decision right there, but choosing not to go on to Peekaboo, as Evangeline is kind of taken out of play right now. It was a dangerous waste of time for Evangeline, as Peekaboo is going to have that dance up, and they're going to switch it around. Oh, look at that burst!
Yeah.
Having to bubble right out of it because of the deep onto Colo. That was a great job, as it looks like Pika is going to run the rest of his dance out by retreating, as looks like the big thing is going to be if SSDS can start making plays for them. Evangeline is kind of there. He's going to be the opportunity moment. He's going to be the person that sets up the kills for them, but SSDS really needs to connect with him, as we do see, it looks like they are going to CC Evangeline off a bit. A Starship taking a bunch of damage from the Pet and the Crows, as the Crows are going to fade, so they weren't able to make anything happen with that Crow. It'll be about another minute till that comes back up, but Evangeline just playing kind of scared at this moment. Peekaboo playing right on top of him, really durable melee class, with Rogue having that feint, having the evasion if needed. Evangeline is going to push back up, as he's going to sprint over and try to get to his target, but nope, is going to yet again retreat.
Yeah, and I think this is a good move that Victoria's Secret is doing. They're just kind of pushing out, seeing, can we get a little bit of an opportunity? Ooh, having to use the Blessing of Protection on himself there. Jamili's going to steal it right away, but it did last just long enough for Colo to get a nice heal off onto Evangeline. Evangeline actually having to heal himself a little bit too, and now it looks like Tempo Storm turning it around onto SSDS. He's caught in that full kidney shot. Colo is completely able to just stand there and keep the heals going though, but there's the blind now on the Colo. Could mean that SSDS
No, it's a step
could be
onto
tough.
Evangeline. They were going for it, but he boffed himself right before with that freedom, and is going to get the cheap shot out, followed by the Garrote onto Evangeline, which forces Colo to come up immediately into the deep, followed by the Poly. As the wings come out, they're going to force damage onto Jamili, as Jamili is going to catch that Iron Bark from Starship with the NS also. So this was a lot of cooldowns used right away as the Frost Shot comes out onto Colo, but they didn't force anything out. These wings are going to last another 5 seconds on to Evangeline. He might not make anything happen with those. Stun onto Starship, though. They are going to try to set up onto Jamili, but Jamili just running away, playing on complete opposite sides of the pillar as his attackers. Peekaboo playing, doing a great job of staying defensive, but there we go. Now we see the dance coming out, but the Link goes down with no one inside of it, as looks like a wasted Link right there.
Yeah.
I don't know if he was trying to prevent CC on himself.
I think he was expecting SSDS to be able to disengage back into it, but SSDS was caught into a kidney shot at the time. However, now they're turning it back around onto Jamili again. He does have both of his ice blocks once again available. They took too long actually with that last push, and they weren't able to force out an ice block before his cold snap came back up. So he will be totally fine. He's kind of out here in the open, but he should feel fairly confident that that's fine. He's actually just going to build up some icicles, just shooting the pet there for just a second. Now they're going to try and maybe turn it back around onto SSDS. They may actually be splitting a little bit. There's another Spirit Link coming out for Colo. Not really sure. I didn't feel like SSDS was in that much trouble, but maybe Colo was a little bit scared at that point in time. But now Victoria's Secret pushing in once again. There's a stun onto Evangeline that's preventing him from really putting all the damage he wants into Jamili. But Starship in that Fist of Justice, they might be able to make something happen here.
The Crows.
Yeah,
the Crows with the trap onto Starship too. Short trap as he is going to get rooted, and the Iron Bark comes out and the block from Jamili. So that Cold Snap used immediately also, so he'll have that second block available, as we do see the dance coming out onto Evangeline, that cheap shot with the kidney shot onto Colo, as no follow-up CC quite yet. There we go. Now we see the Cyclone, as Evangeline is going to get so low, and damage just coming out. That double Ice Nova after the dance set up by Peekaboo. Great job by Tempo Storm to tie it 1-1.
Yeah, unfortunately for Evangeline, he just did not have any defensive cooldowns left. He did have his Avenging Wrath like 2 seconds from coming up that he might have been able to do like an Avenging Wrath execution sentence on himself, and maybe he was even just waiting for that, hoping that he would live long enough to be able to do it. But unfortunately, he is going to go down, and that means that Tempo Storm has now managed to take a game in this series, and we're going to be all tied up moving on to a Game 3.
Wow, that was a great match. Really back and forth. You can see that burst damage coming out. Like SSDS by himself forced a block at one point. You know, the wings from Evangeline were extremely dangerous, and you could see Tempo Storm immediately having that defensive play when it happened. So great job by both teams. You know, Tempo Storm really setting up that kill at the end. Double Ice Novas from Jamili. Just after all that damage from the dance, you know, great CC chain set up by Peekaboo with the follow-up Cyclone by Starship. So great plays by Tempo Storm.
Yep, definitely. So that does now mean that it's going to be Victoria's Secret's map pick, which is very important for Ret Hunter Shaman, because there are some maps that you just do not want to play on. So we'll have to see what map they end up choosing here very shortly. We will get that map info for you here as soon as we possibly can. It also means that Victoria's Secret, if they want to switch something up, they will have the opportunity to counter comp a little bit. But like we were saying earlier, they seem to mostly just want to play this Ret Hunter Shaman composition. It seems to be primarily what they're actually going to play. So we'll see. It's actually going to be Ruins of Lordaeron, which I think is makes a whole lot of sense for this composition. Tempo Storm, they have so many different comps that they can play. So
I don't see him changing on this one. I think that, you know, the mobility of the Druid, he'll be able to play whether he wants to play on the tomb itself, if he wants to play the cart, the gravestone. You know, there's a lot of different places he can play with that mobility, being able to blink in and try to get some CC on the Shaman. He can probably push up whenever he wants, which is really good. You know, he'll have a lot of escape mechanisms on that map. And he is going to be playing against a Hunter and a Ret, so he kind of knows when that damage is coming for his team.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if they decide to, like, the only change I could really see them making is maybe bringing in Elite. But like you're saying, the Resto Druid has so many ways that they can keep the healing going on this map that it would be a strange change if they were to make that one.
Yeah, and Starship is playing so well so
really
far
is
in this tournament.
Yeah. Yep, so we will get those comps locked in here and get onto this final match in this series very shortly. The winner of this match this next match that we're about to play is, of course, going to go on to face off against Dream Team. If we can look at the brackets really quick, we can show that to you guys as we're just waiting for these comps to get locked in here. It's going to be Dream Team that advanced in the previous series that we played. So whichever team wins here has got to face off against them. And Dream Team was looking so good in the match that they played, the couple of well, one of them, there was that unfortunate disconnect. But the other match that they played, they were looking really, really solid. So I'm really excited to see. I think either of these teams, whoever advances, it's going to be an amazing match to watch versus Dream Team. So we'll have to see who that is going to be, and we'll find that out here very shortly.
All right. So we're just waiting for the comp pick by Tempo Storm. Yeah, like we said, Victoria's Secret really doesn't have that deep of a roster. They can try to put in that Warlock, and they can also switch to a Holy Paladin. SSDS can swap back and forth between Survival and BM, but I don't think this map selection is going to make any difference on the Hunter spec at this point. I think BM is doing a great job for them. They really have an answer for every time that Jamili wants to push up for CC.
Yeah, we've seen so far in these matches so many times just Jamili having to get out of line of sight, but he's still got a giant red dinosaur biting his face off the entire time. So definitely feel like that Beast Mastery selection is working out really, really well for them. And on Ruins as well. Like, it's just nice to not have to, because there's so many little line of sight blockers that can get in your way for just a second. Of course, the Hunter is extremely mobile themselves, and they're able to continue doing damage on the move, but just not having to worry about, oh, my shot didn't quite go off. Well, okay, sure, it doesn't matter that much because, again, big red dinosaur is eating the crap out of the guy that you're trying to kill. So we do have the composition from Tempo Storm. That's going to be, once again, that Frost Mage, Subtlety Rogue, and Resto Druid. And I agree. I expect that Victoria's Secret will probably stick with the same composition again.
I can't see them changing.
Yeah.
Maybe that Holy Paladin for this map, but I doubt it. Nope, looks like same setup.
Yep.
It's great. Both teams extremely confident in their play so far, because this has been quite a close match so far, which is great to see. Love these games coming down right to the wire as both teams just playing their hardest because single elimination. Every single map counts.
Yep, definitely. So we are just trying to get into this game here. The queue is coming up for us, so we'll be into this match here very shortly. And we'll be here on Ruins of Lordaeron with the game point of this series between Tempo Storm and Victoria's Secret. Whoever wins this match moves on to the semifinals and that chance at qualifying for regionals later on this year.
And it looks like Evangeline is going to be playing that Empowered Seals, which is very different because, before we saw a lot of Rets playing Final Verdict, that damage was great, but having the consistent additional damage, run speed, healing, everything out of Empowered Seals is just great to have for your team. Of course, definitely playing Clemency, that Sacred Shield, this is all very expected talents. Let's take a look at SSDS. Again, very, very, very standard, nothing too different. We do see Post-Haste this time. I do believe he was playing Narrow Escape before. And then Colo playing Echo of the Elements, playing that double Spirit Link and Glyph of Purify Spirit for the double Dispel. So all standard choices that we would expect out of this team.
Yep, so the gates have opened and this match is now underway. We see Team Tempo Storm actually moving up here, trying to be fairly aggressive, but Victoria's Secret is going to just hide in this.
They have the advantage of the starting area plus that flare on top of it, so it's going to be hard for them to do anything. Of course, Peekaboo is going to be able to step in if he needs to. Instead, Jamili is just going to ride in, and they immediately waited for that flare to fade, so that was really good.
Yeah, and Peekaboo got caught by the tail end.
Look at the damage on Nicolo straight away as he is going to have the bop. The Spirit Link also, and the bubble out of Evangeline, so that was a ton of important cooldowns already.
Yeah, definitely. That was kind of a bad situation for Tempo Storm. They weren't able to get quite as much as they wanted because Peekaboo got caught by the tail end of that flare when he was trying to step in, but they still pulled so many cooldowns out of Victoria's Secret. Of course, now Evangeline, with those wings active, is just trying to get to Jamili, is not quite able to. He's going to have to use his Hand of Freedom and try to get over here once again. There's now a full blind onto Colo. It's going to end up breaking. I'm not sure what actually broke that. And now they're continuing to put in this pressure into Jamili. The Deep Freeze comes out on Nicolo, and the Cyclone onto Evangeline as well. It's going to finish off, along with that Garrote as well. It's going to finish off in the cheek shot. It's going to make him have to use that Blessing of Protection, which is immediately stolen by Jamili. Gets that spell steal right away. And Colo, once again, having to use his Spirit Link. That's his last Spirit Link. He has no defensive cooldowns available for a long time.
Yeah, he had to use Ascendance 2 there, so that's not much left for the team. Let's see if Tempo Storm can turn it around on them. Looks like they're actually going to go into Starship. He has to Iron Bark and Bark Skin himself, plus has some hots on him, but look at the damage that those crows are doing to him, though. Looks like not too much, actually, except for those the double skin right there, as Evangeline down to half, as tries to put out some damage. Starship again stunned. That is Jamili. That is down to half, as taking some damage. SSDS looking to try to force this block out of Jamili, but Jamili is going to try to hold on to it as long as he can. Looks like he might be successful at holding it. That was a great job by Jamili, and Starship playing defensive enough to save that block.
Yeah, he moved down into the little starting area as well, which Evangeline looked like he wanted to go down in there, but then immediately had to pull back because there's, like we were saying, there's no defensive cooldowns available for Victoria's Secret at this point. Not even the Roar of Sacrifice. Everything is on cooldown. So Victoria's Secret actually playing a little bit defensive here. Eventually actually going to go ahead and mount up and run around, show off his awesome mount, and just try and get defensive for a second and maybe just sit around and wait for some of their cooldowns to come back up.
If Peekaboo is stealth, it's been sitting in stealth for a long time, just waiting but I think waiting actually isn't going to go well for them because they force so many defenses. But here we go. Now we have the dance, and they are going to go onto Evangeline. We see a deep poly with a Cyclone that cross CC, as Evangeline taking a lot of damage right there. Doesn't have his bubble up, so this is going to be a lot of damage that might not be preventable. The wings come out.
Oh, but Starship down to 5% health. They almost had him there. He actually was down to 5% health for just a second. They're still sticking onto him like crazy. That's an amazing turnaround there from Victoria's Secret, pushing Starship back here and actually forcing Peekaboo and Jamili to play defensively here for a second. That may actually have saved Evangeline's life. He does still have a few seconds remaining on his wings. They're trying to make something happen onto Jamili, but no, they're going to have to step back just again here and make sure that they stay alive. But that was crucial for Victoria's Secret to be able to push them back at that moment in time.
It was, and that means that it gave him time for that link to come back up. However, Evangeline wasn't able to make it to the link as he was bombed, and we do see the cloak come out from Peekaboo. He really wants to stay on his target. Jamili needs to stay offensive here to try to stop, or to try to toss that CC out, as we see a gouge onto SSDS also, as it looks like they are still trying to dump damage into Evangeline, as we see that full kidney onto Cola, as Peekaboo again dancing on to Evangeline. That Shadow Dance able to put so much damage out. Look at that cross CC again, the Cyclone and the Poly, as Evangeline is by himself, garroted, as down to half right there, still has a long time on any defensive for himself. Again, the Cyclone onto Cola. This is not looking good for Evangeline, as he is gonna fall. That CC chain was so deadly onto Colo.
Yeah, he was just in CC for days, and unfortunately for Victoria's Secret, they lost so many of their defensive cooldowns so early on, including that bubble. And as soon as the Divine Shield is used from Evangeline, Tempo Storm was like, all right, we don't even care about the Hunter anymore. We're just going to constantly keep focusing on Evangeline, because we know eventually we'll kill him. And we can get a win out of here. So that is going to be Tempo Storm winning this series 2-1 over Victoria's Secret, and they will be moving on to the semifinals as soon as they actually finish killing off Coca here. He is going to get caught into that kidney shot, which should be the end of him. There it is, and that is the game. 2-1 for Tempo Storm versus Victoria's Secret.
Yeah, there's CC chain on the end, not only on the healer, but I really liked that they were spreading the DRs back and forth on SSDS. Did a great job of there. That's really what led to those kills, even though Colo was stuck in that extremely long CC chain. Yeah. SSDS was also, so he wasn't able to kind of break up the damage that he needed to.
Yeah, definitely. So that does mean that we now know all of the teams that will be facing off in the semifinals. It's going to be... if we can actually take a look at the brackets really quick, it's going to be Luminosity versus Rise of Lesac in the first semifinal. And we will be seeing, as soon as these brackets update, we'll be seeing, there it goes, Tempo Storm versus Dream Team in the second semifinal. So
yeah, Going to be two really exciting matches that we have left at this point, and then plus, of course, the grand finals, Luminosity versus Rise of Lysak. That's going to be a crazy match. Luminosity is such a great team. Again, they came in second last tournament, just barely missing out on qualifying for the North American or the American regionals.
Yep, so we will be moving on to that here very shortly. But first, we are going to take another quick break. Right after this, we will be back with Luminosity versus Rise of Lysak. Stick around.